is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Friday. It is the Woo Report. The Woo Report, episode 212. Wondering how are you doing, New Jersey Devils fans? How are you doing? As we're streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch on the Primetime Radio Network. Eddie Allen from the YouTube Live is already saying, I'm good. I'm over Johnny Hockey already. But how are you, Sam Wu? I'm doing just fine. I'm happy with the moves that were made this week. The non-moves that were made this week. I think Palat is going to be a great addition to the New Jersey Devils. They may have overpaid a little bit, but that's what you do when you get a proven winner, two-time Stanley Cup champion, someone that's been through the trenches, knows what it takes to get to the Stanley Cup Finals, and hopefully he can be a leader in the locker room to teach this young team how to win. And we talked about this last season and the season before about having a winning mindset. Because there's been so much losing with these New Jersey Devils for so long, no matter how talented or not talented. As bad as the goaltending has been, as bad as the penalty kill has been, the bad as what the power play has been, the shorthanded chances, the turnovers, all that stuff. I feel good about what Tom Fitzgerald has done. You got to take the proper steps. You got to re-sign Jesper Bratt. You have Damon Severson, who is going to be an unrestricted free agent after next season. You have to plan accordingly for the New Jersey Devils. Also, Ryan Graves. You would have to think, would you keep him long term? And there's a lot of things that Tom Fitzgerald will be thinking about as we move forward. I think the moves he's made so far is satisfactory. He didn't do anything to hurt the team. I mean, seeing some of the blogs of what Flyer fans are going through right now, I think the Devils are in much better shape at this point. Eugene Hewitt says, I'm still smarting for sure. However, if they can sign Bratt, Niederreiter, I may be all right. Compliment Palat and Haula. Yeah, let me talk about this one tweet. Kind of a little irked me. I believe there's a reporter in Boston saying, how Eric Haula told New Jersey reporters this afternoon he's only talked to Devils management so far, not any players. Contrast with Zaka saying Bruins already reached out, including Bergeron, found it interesting. Sometimes we take that stuff for granted. That kind of a little irked me. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. All right? It's not, what, Nico Hischier is not a great captain? Is that what you're insinuating? Are you insinuating that the Devils' culture is a little screwed up and the big bad Boston Bruins can do no wrong? I just think that's just a little petty, that tweet that was put out there. And you know what? Maybe that's all it takes with the text from Nico to some of the new players. How are you doing? But honestly, I'm not going to make a big deal over that. Who knows? Nico could be on vacation for all we know and doesn't even know what's going on. Antonio Rodriguez says Johnny, as in Johnny Gaudreau, grew up hating the Devils. His idol was probably Eric Lindros, and the Devil was Scott Stevens, pun intended. His friends and family would disown him for selling his soul to the Devils. Yeah, I mean, you know what? Very nice, Antonio. But on a serious note, you know what? He chose Columbus. He chose Columbus. At least he didn't choose the Flyers or Islanders or even the Rangers for that matter, but they were never in it. The Wolf on YouTube Live. I'm doing good. I'm embracing my red, white, and black, or red, white, and green. Been a Devils fan since 2008. Well, that's very good. Well, welcome to the Woo Report on a Friday night. Friday night, you know, it's been a long week for a lot of us. Scotty, Sirius XM Liquid Metal, doing Devils After Dark, which, you know, I thought that podcast would be parked for the off season, but he came back. We did a couple good podcasts this week. It's been a record week for the Let's Go Devils podcast, and you know, there was so much going on that, you know, there were times where we really couldn't talk to you, the fans, with talk to you, the fans, about what's been going on, because that's part of the premise of the Let's Go Devils podcast. We talk to the fans. We want to know what the fans are saying. We want to know, you know, what your thoughts are. Opinions are good as long as they're constructive. We're trying to unite the Devils fan base. We've been over this many, many times, and we got to be constructive and be courteous to one another when we have ideas. I mean, you know, I'm starting to enjoy Twitter. You can find me on my Twitter account at PrimetimeSamWoo. But let me tell you something. What I don't like on Twitter, I don't care if you have a difference of opinion than I do, but to call me a moron is not constructive. To say I know nothing about hockey is not constructive. And as much as I can, you know, if you could dish a lot of heat, trust me, I could give it a lot back. But I don't want to right now. Because I think it's more important not to get in Twitter wars amongst my fellow Devils fans. And it's hard, trust me, it's hard to restrain yourself. But I'm going to take that energy and turn it into a positive and try to unite the fan base together, because I often find that the fan base is very fragmented throughout the Prudential Center and from years past. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I think it's time to put down our differences, cheer for the team. That's why we have it called the Let's Go Devils podcast, because Let's Go Devils is what every Devils fan agrees on. So the Woo Report right now is all about you. How are you doing? I want to know, how are you doing? Some people are sad. Some people are mad. I think Amanda Stein unfairly gets ripped on when she's in a team employee doing her best. Okay, you may not like her tweets. It may not be your cup of tea. It may not be your thing. But be courteous, people. I mean, what you say publicly, I mean, I don't get it. I really don't get it. I don't get it. I think Amanda Stein needs apologies from a lot of Devils fans. Some of the things that they say on Twitter. I think she deserves a lot of apologies. Even though I have never trashed Amanda Stein, I just like to say, on behalf of the Devils fans that would agree with me, we apologize because you did nothing wrong. Nothing. The rudeness needs to go. And again, the laws of magnetic attraction. If you want to attract great players to New Jersey, Damon Severson is one of them. He actually replied to a tweet to a fan today. Trust me, players read social media. The ones that are really disciplined and hardcore don't. More power to you. But the players do read this stuff. And you got to really watch what you say. The hockey community throughout the entire NHL is a great community. But it's a small community. A lot of people within the NHL fan base, we all know each other. We're trying to grow the sport. And I think in society in general, we're not kind to each other. We can agree to disagree. You know, Nick Villano and I on pucksandpitchforks.com, editor-in-chief, I can tell you we fundamentally don't agree on a lot of things going on with the Devils. But we're constructive about it. We have mutual respect. We don't have to hate each other. If he busts my chops, I bust back. But he knows at the end of the day, we're going to shake hands and be like, hey, that was a great podcast. Oh, hey, whatever. And then sometimes we duke it out in the behind the scenes, very rarely. But you know what? There's a respect factor that we must have with our fan base. Eddie Allen says the fan toxicity, can't even pronounce it. It's toxic. It's bad with us. It's disgusting. And it is. We don't want to be a toxic fan base. Who knows? Maybe Johnny Gaudreau follows a lot of us on Twitter and is like, oh, these guys are just as bad as, they come. Who knows? I'm not saying that. But we want to be a fan base that is the seventh skater on the ice in unison in a sold-out Prudential Center. Because that actually has an effect on the players, especially the home team. It has an effect on the opposing players. When the team gets loud, and I'm sorry, not the team. The crowd gets loud for their team. It's a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing. 2003 Stanley Cup Finals, Game 7, 4 minutes to go after the Friesen goal to make it 3-0. You want to talk about a fan base that's united at that moment? Those that were there at Continental Airlines Arena would know how awesome that was. Or if you go to other arenas like the Bell Center, if the Canadiens are all doing well, trust me, it's electric. 2012 Eastern Conference Finals, Game 6, all those over there. From start to finish, the Henrik chants coming from Devils fans were relentless. It was awesome. It didn't matter if you didn't like that other Devils fan or, you wanted to win together. And there's no better way of going to a Devils game winning together. So I ask you, how are you doing? How are you doing? YouTube Live? I'm reading the comments. I can admit that some fans from Montreal Canadiens are super toxic, especially crapping on Brodeur for his personal life, saying that Watt is better. Personal attacks, they're never good. Hitting below the belt, never good. And you know what, to be honest with you, a lot of people are keyboard warriors behind the scenes, and for me, you know how I handle it? I take all that toxic stuff. Don't even waste your energy. Don't even waste your energy. Take a negative into a positive. Kill them with kindness. Beer Baron talks about this quite a bit on the Let's Go Devils podcast Sunday edition at 9 p.m. Eastern every Sunday. And there's a lot to learn from it. There's restraint. Sometimes you can't help yourself and make a wise-ass comment on social media. But just remember, treat social media, I don't know what's a good way to discipline yourself, but maybe pretend like your own parents are reading all this. And I don't know why I'm bringing this up, because I just see this fan base about to be really happy soon that they finally get over the hump. But just, some of the criticisms out there, and and all that kind of stuff, it's just, I don't know. I just find it annoying, to be honest with you. We do this podcast, a labor of love. Tonight, I didn't know what to talk about. Should I be talking about Devils development camp? How Seamus Casey is awesome and could be a steal in the 2022 NHL draft? Should I be talking about Tyce Thompson? Looking pretty good. But I think it's right now more important that as fans, we just be nicer to each other. Just simply be nicer to each other. That's why I'm asking, how are you doing? Zach Jensen says, I agree, she gets ripped on too much, meaning Amanda Stein, I'm assuming. The great thing about Twitter is if you don't like them, don't follow them. Great point. Great point. I'm good, excited for the season to get going. Thank you, Zach, for commenting, keeping it positive, making this podcast more enjoyable. Winnie from Florida. Hi, Sam. I love that now we have Palat. He will be a great addition to the team. Couldn't agree with you more, Winnie. I'm telling you. And you know what? I like your name, Winnie, because we're going to win. We're going to win. Palat, I've been coveting Palat for the last 3 years. Glad he is in New Jersey Devils. He's saying all the right things. He's a versatile player. You know who he kind of reminds me of? Just remember Sergei Brelin? An unsung hero, but a player that did the right things at the right moments. Always worked hard. Now, quote unquote, associate coach for the Utica Comets. I love this signing more than if Goudreau would have signed with the New Jersey Devils. And, there's some debate whether the Devils really went hard after Goudreau. I think Elliot Friedman on his podcast was alluding to that there's no evidence. I'm assuming that the Devils made a high offer. It's kind of a moot point right now, because I always said that the Devils should have been always in the sweepstakes to at least jack up the price. They jacked up the price so the Flyers couldn't get them, because the Flyers had no money anyway. The Islanders, let's just say overextended themselves to try to get him. Did the Devils get him? They could have. If they offered him, I don't know, everything, including the helicopter rides to go back home after every game, they could have done whatever. I think the Devils did enough to make an effort, but also I think it was smart not to go overboard, because really the Devils had all the leverage here. But Johnny Gaudreau, to each their own, chose Columbus. And that's okay. Because think about the $10 million a year that you would have spent on Johnny Gaudreau. Now you spend it on Palat. You have a savings of $4 million. It'll make it easier to sign Jesper Bratt. I think Jesper Bratt's re-signing is so important because it brings continuity that this young team needs. A 2016 draft pick in the late rounds, still on the team while Pavel Zacha has been traded, who was 6 overall. Got to tell you, you got to love those players like Jesper Bratt. Can he be consistent? Can he lead this team? And also, you want to talk about continuity if you re-sign Bratt? And I know we poke fun of this on the podcast. I know, we have our fun. But I think Damon Severson needs to be extended and quickly. Because Damon Severson has been eating up a lot of ice time. He showed us. He stepped up to the plate when Dougie Hamilton went down with that awful jaw injury, that freak accident, when he got hit in the jaw with the puck. But Damon Severson needs to be extended. Because it's going to take some time for Luke Hughes, Ethan Edwards, if you want to, Seamus Casey, defense, especially defensemen, take a little bit of time to adjust to, and that's why we should re-sign Damon Severson, extend his stay in New Jersey. There's also about PK Subban. Would he come back? Maybe at the right price? But right now, I think the Devils, they're doing pretty well right now. They didn't do anything to screw up their future. They stayed the course. Lindy Ruff, well, he's going to be on the hot seat, especially when you have new associate head coach Andrew Brunette on the squad with a 3-year contract. That's what my good friend Bruce Zeman says. With the signing of Brunette, guessing Ruff knows he's on the clock. That's called accountability, folks. Does Tom Fitzgerald have the ability to make the hard decisions? He traded Pavel Zacha. He's a drafting machine right now. Seamus Casey, hey, you know what? They swapped second-round picks, still got Seamus Casey. For all we know right now, it's early on. I'm not going to make any predictions, but so far he has impressed, at least in development camp. He goes to Michigan, plays with Luke Hughes and Ethan Edwards. That's a culture of winning in Michigan. And I'm saying this as a Penn State fan, but there's a culture of winning in Michigan. And I'll be watching a lot of Michigan hockey games along with you to see how they develop. Because I'm concerned about their development in Michigan. We all have a vested interest in it because eventually it will come back to the New Jersey Devils. There's a lot of negativity about the goaltending situation. Okay, well, if the goaltending position was so bad, and you look at the numbers, is what that one tweet I saw about Fitzgerald, I think it was Tom Galletti that posted it. Well, that's all you did was swap second-round picks and forked over a third-rounder to Washington for a goaltender, Vitek Vanecek. I don't think that's fair to say. I think this goaltender has a very good chance of being a full-time starter, but he's got to earn that right. And also Mackenzie Blackwood, time's running out. You need to have a bounce-back season if you want to stay on this team. And you're going to have to be consistent and stay healthy. And this is a 1A, 1B scenario that we have here, folks. 1A, 1B. I think the goaltending needs help. I don't think the goaltending was 100% of the issues. We talk about turnovers. We talk about undisciplined plays. There were times on the penalty kill they weren't using the boards or clearing the puck out, and the other team will hold the puck in just so easily, or they literally would pass it right to the opposing player playing the point. They need to be taught, and they need to play better defense before you could say that it's always the goalie. No-look drop passes, shifting momentum. You do a no-look drop pass to nobody in the offensive zone. Everybody's momentum is going towards the net, and then suddenly it's a 2-on-none on the goalie. Yeah, it would be nice to have an elite goaltender to stop that, but you need to cut down those chances because there were way too many last season. Just way too many chances, shorthanded chances for the opposition. Sleepwalking in the second period. Second period was a big problem for most of the year. They come out great, on fire, come out in the second period, and boom, suddenly the opposing team has 3 goals and the game's wide open. And then they're now sitting back and making the Devils play catch-up. Goaltending, look, I think the biggest problem with goaltending last season was injuries, staying healthy. But I thought Nico Daws did the best he could under the circumstances. He was starting really as an emergency goaltender, which he should have been developing in the AHL level, gaining his confidence. But instead, he was trying to hold down the fort because the other, 1A, 1B, and a 3, 1Cs couldn't really hold the fort. John Gillies, Andrew Hammond, just giving away games. Eddie Allen says, I really miss Hedberg. Hedberg was great. Johan Hedberg, the Moose, he was great. Of course. But this scenario is going to be healthy competition between 2 goaltenders, Blackwood and Vanacek. And it's going to be very healthy. And then Lindy Ruff is going to have to make a decision. And we shall see. Burnett's going to be coaching the power play. Give it some time, folks. It's not like you can fix this stuff overnight. But this is what Eddie Allen says. Hopefully it lights a fire under Mackenzie Blackwood. We can only hope. Eugene Hewitt. At least we no longer have Domingue. Look, Domingue did pretty well for the Pittsburgh Penguins, I believe, in the playoffs, holding the fort. But, well, I'm going to end the podcast right now. Just want to know, how are you doing? How are you doing, folks? On Twitter Live, YouTube Live, Facebook Live on this Friday night. Going to drop the podcast at midnight. It's the weekend. What are you doing? It's going to be, should be interesting this weekend if there's any more moves made. But I'll say this. Be nicer to each other, Devils fans, on social media. And if you think that I'm right and you feel bad that you made bad comments to Amanda Stein, all it takes is an apology. Real quick. Hey, Amanda, or Amanda C. Stein. Hi, Amanda. Sorry for all the mean things I said in the past. Hope you understand. We were just joking. I don't know. But I just think that needs to stop. Just needs to stop. Want to thank all those listening, watching right now. Keep it here, the Let's Go Devils podcast. We're in breaking news alert all the time in case something happens. Go to pucksandpitchforks.com for all your Devils reads. Well, this is the Woo Report. Till next time, let's go Devils.